Okay, we're in volume 4 of the Bible story, which is the one that has David and Goliath on it. And Bible story, volume 4, the David and Goliath on it. And we are at part 2, story 10, A Shadow Falls. Now, I'm going to let you know, I do repeat myself a lot. And I'm not a very good reader, so y'all just gonna have to bear with me. I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can. I wasn't very good in school with this. Maybe I'll get better. Okay, part 2, story 10, A Shadow Falls. There was a sad ending to the story of the defeat of the Amorites. Early the following year, David sent Joab with all the men of Israel to lay siege on their capital city, Rabbah. They knew that Israel could never feel safe again until it was taken. For once he did not go with his army. For once he did not go with his army to battle, but stayed home with his family. And then it was a dark shadow And then it was that dark shadow that fell upon Jerusalem and its king. Up to now, David had been known everywhere as a good and noble man. People thought of him as a champion of right and truth. Were glad that at least there was a man on the throne who was loyal to God, to the God of heaven. They loved him for what he had done to retrieve, to revive the holy religion to religion of their fathers, and for knowing God's law by bringing back the ark. Because of all this, and because of his kind and generous heart, God blessed him greatly. Through many dangers and perils, he brought him brought him from the sheepfold to the throne, to from poverty to plenty, and give him houses and lands and gold and silver in abundance. David was now king over the land from Egypt to the Euphrates, so that in him God will fulfill his promise to Abraham. Unto thy seed have I given this land from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates. Genesis 15:18. And if you look at a map, it's a big country. I mean, yeah, that's very big. Up to Euphrates. Euphrates actually goes through Turkey, I think. Okay, yeah, it goes through Turkey, so that's a big chunk of land. As was the custom in those days, David had many wives and a lot of children. Indeed, his house must have been overrun with boys and girls who called him father. Surely one would think he had enough to make and to keep him happy. But no, happens, as too often happens, so says, with those whom God has given much, he wanted more. Something he something he will well knew he should not have. Nobody likes to tell the story yet it must be told. While the army was away at Rahab, David fell in love with the wife of Uriah the Hittite, one of his finest and noblest soldiers. Then, to make matters worse, he wrote a letter to Joab, Joab ordering him to put Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle, so that he would be killed. And he asked Uriah to carry the letter to his own. He asked Uriah to carry the letter, his own death warrant. And that shows how one mean thing leads to another. Imagine what Joab must have thought when he received such a letter from the king. Surely he must have wondered. So he didn't even, Uriah wasn't even tempted to even read it because it was a correspondence. And him being a nobleman, he wasn't going to do it. Surely he must have wondered what had gone wrong. Yet he obeyed his master. Uriah was sent up close to the wall of Rahab, where the valiant men were, and in the course of the fighting met his death. When David heard the news, he thought his little plot had succeeded very well. He was sure nobody would ever find out what he had done. He waited a while until Uriah's wife, Bathsheba, had mourned her husband, then sent for her and married her. What could be more proper? But if David thought what God did not know what he okay. But if David thought that God did not know what he had done or did not care, he was much mistaken. God knew all of it, and was deeply disappointed. The Bible says that the thing that David had done displeased the Lord. It was a terrible letdown. If any ordinary man had done such a thing, it would have been bad enough. But for the king to do it, who should have been an example to his people, that was awful. After all that David about had said about keeping the Ten Commandments, and he had broken all of them at once himself. But by so doing, had given great occasion to the enemies of the Lord to blaspheme. So the shadow of a great sin fell over David and his family, and over Jerusalem and all of Israel. So he set Uriah to be killed. But of course, and there was a reason. He did it because uh, he got Bathsheba pregnant, and he was going to try to hide the fact, and that didn't work because Uriah was such a faithful soldier. If you read the story. Okay, that was story part 2, story 10. We're gonna break and then I'll go with the next one. See you in a bit.